Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Lessons at Fingertips. Here we discuss on some important topics in really simple words so that it's easier for you all to understand and keep things in mind. So today my topic of discussion is going to be somewhat a continuation of my previous video where we have discussed about benefit theory of taxation, and today we are going to see some limitations and some benefits of benefit theory of taxation. So first I will start with demerits or the limitations. Well, demerits as per the limitations, if you see, the first and very important one is it is not possible to measure the benefit that an individual is getting. Why? Because benefit is a subjective, it's subjective. It differs from person to person, isn't it? So it is not possible to measure the benefit, isn't it, received by someone, as it is a subjective nature. For me, if I judge someone else, for me that person has got a lot of benefit. For you, that person can get some different benefit, isn't it? So benefit is subjective matter. It differs from person to person. You cannot measure it, isn't it? So it is not possible to measure who someone have got how much benefit, isn't it? Suppose there is a government school. Okay, now a person is very poor. So for them the benefit will not be same. The benefit that they are getting from government school, it will not be the same for a person who are not that much poor but are poor, right? Both of the children are going to the taking education from that government school, but the benefit their family is getting from that differs. It is subjective, isn't it? So that is the thing. It's not possible to measure the benefit received by someone because it's subjective. The second thing states what? This principle wrongly assumes that individual will readily reveal their preference for social good. Individual doesn't reveal their preference for social goods usually. We have already read that in my video of public goods, where we have already read that individual does not disclose their preference for public good. Why? Because public goods are non-excludable, non-rival. That is the reason why there exists the problem of free rider, because individual doesn't show the preference. The third point is it assumes an optimum distribution of income. In my previous video of benefit theory, you will see that in case of benefit theory, it is said that everyone will have almost the same kind of income. Then only a general, taxation system will be valid, isn't it? So it assumes that everyone is having an optimum level of income and no one is like very poor. Because if someone is very poor, then that person will need the public good, isn't it? That person will need public good, and that person is not in the position to pay tax for availing the public good. अरे खाना मिल ही नहीं रहा है, इसीलिए तो गवर्नमेंट से खाना ले रहे हैं. अब उसी खाने के लिए अगर टैक्स भी पे करना पड़ा, then how is that going to happen, isn't it? So that's the problem. So here in case of benefit theory, they always assume, they always estimate that there is optimum distribution of income. Next, benefit theory also assumes that tax is the only source of revenue. But is that so? No, tax is just a part of source of revenue for the government. Next, as per this theory, it is considered that the tax has to be in proportion to the benefit. Does that happen? No, in reality this cannot happen, because someone who is very poor will avail more benefit and that person cannot pay most taxes. That means what? What does this theory implies? That someone who is earning 100 is taking a benefit from the government of rupees 50. Okay, someone who is earning 1000 is taking a benefit from the government of rupees 25. Someone who is earning 10,000 is taking a benefit from the government of rupees 5. Does that imply that this person is going to pay most tax? Is it possible? Can you charge the tax from the poor person who is earning 100 and the least from the one who is earning 10,000? No, this is not possible. So this theory cannot be valid in this kind of countries. It's not possible. Also, it is said that you see here the tax has to be proportional to the benefit, but in reality, what is tax? So what does it imply? That if someone is earning like 1 lakh, not paying any tax, will not pay any tax. What does this imply? That this is a voluntary contribution. Here what is happening is that it tax is becoming a voluntary contribution कि जब मन किया मेरा पैसा, I am not availing the government services, so I am not going to pay the tax. This is a voluntary contribution हो रहा है. But tax is a compulsory payment. Everyone has to pay. And in welfare countries like India, where it's developing countries, too many poor people are there, the poor people are excluded from paying the tax, isn't it? Because they are not capable of. But for the mediocre people, it's compulsory to pay the tax. If you lie between that income level of tax payment, then it's compulsory. So this is here, as per this theory, tax becomes what? A voluntary payment. But actually tax is a compulsory payment. So this was, and the last limitation is, in modern times quid pro quo property is not valid as government goes for welfare schemes, as I have already explained you कि यहाँ पे we cannot go for जैसे को तैसा, और जितना benefit मिल रहा है उतना टैक्स दे रहे. This cannot be valid. Quid pro quo cannot be valid. Why? Because here the government performs welfare schemes. Who are poor, they will be given more benefit. If you can avail the private school, go to the private school. The poor, it's for the poor who are going to go to the public school, isn't it? So here, at least in modern times, the benefit theory of principle doesn't valid. Now let's go on to the merits. There are some merits. It's not कि सभी demerit है. No, there are some merit. What are the merits? This theory states how much should be spent on public good and how much on tax. This theory states that how much we need to pay on public goods and how much do we need to pay for taxes. The second one, it states, it links the provision of public services to the preference pattern of the individual. Provision of public services, isn't it? So what is happening here? How much is the preference people are, how much is the people preferring? How much people are availing the benefit, which kind of services people are availing the benefits, taking the benefits from. So those services will be increased by the government. So what is happening? It is linking the provision of public good to the preference pattern of individual. And the last merit is that it takes care of both the sides of the budgetary procedure, that is income as well as expenditure. So I hope you guys have understood this video. Please do hit the like and do subscribe to my channel. Share with your friends. Till then, bye bye.